Hey VC, how's it going? Right, okay. Small pile of stuff to show. This is all stuff which is, it's been self-funding my record collection this this month. I've sold a few records, I've traded a few bits and bobs, and this is what I've got in return. So actually, this is what I'm listening to in the background very quickly. This is a Blue Juice compilation. I liked all these Blue Note comps that came out in the mid-90s. Full of great stuff, and in truth was probably the first time I heard a lot of these songs. This is Ananda Shankar that you can hear in the background, hopefully. Street to Calcutta. Yeah, so very cool. Right, okay. Right, first up, this album came out 1971, 1972 on West Brand Records. This is Cesar Fraser. The album's called Hail Cesar. Now, if you don't know, it's a real sort of soul jazz Hammond groover. That's the best way to describe it. You know, it's Hammond funk. Features Idris Muhammad on drums, Melvin Sparks on guitar. 6 tracks, got covers of Make It With You by Bread, but a nice version of Running Away by Sly and the Family Stone. Now, this reissue came out beginning part of the year. A friend in the VC got in touch and said, be sure to pick up a copy. It's limited to 500 copies, the repress. Original copies go for an arm and a leg, so I didn't know the record, so I checked it out online. It sounded great, but I didn't buy it at the time because shipping was ridiculous. It was only released in the States, and the cost of shipping was more than the value of the album, which I refused to pay. So noticed that it came up on a UK online store, Juno Records, about a month or so ago, so I picked it up then. But absolutely lovely record, particularly if you're in the States. It's going to be cheaper, but yeah, something that I hadn't come across before, and that's the power of the VC right there, isn't it? Right, okay. This album I first came across about 10 or 12 years ago. This is a Discogs purchase this time round. I first saw it on eBay. The band's called West Wing. This is their self-titled album from 1975. It's on 20th Century Records, and what got me interested in it first time round when I first saw it was the fact it's produced by Barry White. It's very much mid-70s sweet vocal harmony soul, lovely stuff, but it does have an absolutely killer cover of Barry White's I'm Gonna Love You Just a Little Bit More. If you haven't heard it before, it's absolutely gorgeous. It's got that falsetto vocal, but it's as funky as anything. It's just a lovely version. So yeah, I've said before how much I love Barry White's music. There's lush strings, it's all over this. Definitely worth picking up. I saw it about 10-12 years ago. It was priced up at the time at 20 quid on eBay. I didn't want to pay that. I thought I'd get a copy, you know, out in the wild. I haven't seen a copy since. Obviously online it's available, get it on Discogs, but I haven't seen a copy since out in the wild. Saying that though, I bought this on Discogs. It's normally priced sort of 35-40 quid. I ended up picking it for just below 20 quid on a sort of a make an offer seller. So that's cool. Right. Okay, this is something quite interesting as well. This is a soundtrack album from the early 70s. This is from a program called The Hangman. Now, I came across this 3 or 4 years ago. It's something which has been sampled quite a lot over the year. It's basically instrumental. From what I understand, all of the music is by a guy called Alan Chew, a UK library musician. I think all of the stuff was put out on various library LPs prior to this soundtrack, so it was all used beforehand. But it works so well, you know, everything is funky. There's not a bad tune on here, it really does work. Once again, it's been sampled to death. I came across it just from online clips, audio clips online a few years ago. It was actually repressed, I think, last year, and I was tempted at the time, but I ended up getting an original copy for less than for lower price than the repress. So I was pleased with that, but that is very, very cool. So if that's your sort of thing, check it out. Right, okay, a local record shop. All of their second-hand stock they marked down to 2 quid. I think they're just sick of the sight of it, so it's just something I picked up. It's only cheap anyway. I think it marked about 8 or 10 quid. This is a Graham Central Station Mirror. Now, as you may well know, Larry Graham was in Sly and the Family Stone, bass player. He later played with Prince in the late 90s, early 2000s. In fact, I think it was Larry Graham that got Prince interested in being a Jehovah's Witness. And I think in the early 2000s they used to go, door knocking, sort of promoting the Watchtower book and all that sort of stuff. So can you imagine that? Prince and Larry Graham turn up at your door? I'd let him in. whatever your religious leanings, you know. But this is a great album. This is, I think, my favourite Graham Central Station album. I've got a few others. They're all nice, but this is very good. It's, I say, it's funky throughout. Interestingly, it is very religious from a lyrical point of view. But yeah, I mean, you know, when you hear that, you perhaps think it gets a little bit more gospelly or a little bit more ballady, but no, it is still flat out funk, but just with a religious bent. Nothing wrong with that. Quite happy with that. I say £2, brilliant. As I say, that's my favourite of the Graham Central Station albums. From the same shop, I picked this up. Now, I saw this in the shop about probably about 3 or 4 months ago. Up on the wall, you can see that the price there, £30. This is Opal early recordings. Now, for those of you that don't know, Opal was a band put together by David Roback, who was in Mazzy Star, also in the Rain Parade as well, who was within the 80s. This is sort of mid-80s. It's a compilation of, I think, a couple of EPs that the band put out in the mid-80s. It's that sort of Paisley Underground sound, very chilled out, great late night music if you can pour yourself a glass of something. So basically, as I say, I saw this on the wall. I knew what it was, but £30 I didn't want to pay. The following month, I meet up with a bunch of guys in a pub to play records every month, and one of the guys just coincidentally played a track off this album. Absolutely gorgeous. I think it was a track called Grains of Sound, which I thought had a bit of a sort of a Doors feel, Rise on the Storm type thing going on about it. So when I went back to the shop, it was still on the wall. I asked the guy what he could do it me for, and he knocked it down to a tenner. So very happy with that. Lovely album. I say, if Mazzy Star's your thing, then you may well know about this already. But yeah, lovely stuff. Okay, that's the label there. Right. Okay, another nice pickup. This is a band called Paradise. The album's called Love Is The Answer. Again, something I've been after for quite a while. It's UK soul music from 1983. Yeah, it goes for a good price on eBay. I basically found this in a charity shop, albeit I didn't get it for a couple of quid. I did have to pay for it. Basically, I had it priced up, and I just made an offer on it, which they accepted, which was cool. So I paid less than what I would have done on Discogs or eBay. It's an album that I've been after for a few years, as I mentioned. As I say, it is straight soul music. It's very much of the time, but yeah, just lovely stuff. So I like that cover as well. Yeah, cool. Yeah, that's on the Priority label. Right, okay, a little bit more UK soul. This is a bit of a funny one. This is Linda Lewis, excuse me, Fathoms Deep. Okay. Now, for me, Linda Lewis is a bit of a funny one because I think she made 2 great albums. This and the predecessor, Lark, are both wonderful, wonderful soul albums. I could do without her other stuff, if I'm perfectly honest. I've bought several of her albums over the years and nothing's really done it for me. But those 2 albums, it's not straight soul music. With soul music, particularly, you know, late 60s, early 70s soul, it's all about the voice, the strength of the voice. Now, I don't think she's got the best voice in the world, but the arrangements of the songs are wonderful, you know. So not just straight soul, gives a bit more of a jazzy tinge. Actually on this, playing stand-up bass is Danny Thompson, who played with John Martin, Nick Drake. So as you can tell, that sort of stand-up bass sound, it does give it a bit more of a jazz leaning, and it really does suit it. It makes the record stand out, basically. I say, it's not straight soul music. The next couple of albums just didn't do it for me. I don't know, perhaps other people prefer that sort of stuff, but this really works for me. Ignore the comedy cover, the die-cut sleeve, you know, but these albums, you get her stuff for a £5, you know, don't pay any more than that. But as I say, if you see Lark or this one, check it out. I bought that off a friend who sells. Same with this one. This is James Taylor Quartet, Wait a Minute. This is well known because it's got their version of Theme from Starsky and Hutch on it, which was a big acid jazz thing in the late 80s. But yeah, very nice. What else we got? Oh yeah, a trade. Pick this up. This is the Smiths This Charming Man 12-inch. I've got no desire to buy all the Smiths 12s, but this is one that I have been after purely because it is one of my favourite songs. I absolutely love it. You know, when it gets my turn to do Desert Island Disc when the BBC come knocking, I'm sure they will. This will definitely be one of my 8 songs. An absolutely perfect pop song, just a wonderful lyric from Morrissey. You know, love him or hate him, yeah, it's special stuff. But you know, it's a funny thing actually, because some songs, albeit, you know, obviously I've had this on the Smiths debut album for years. Some songs I want to either own on a 45 or on a 12-inch for whatever reason. I suppose that's record collecting, and of course the artwork as well is great, you know. But yeah, that's very cool. And at the same time, I also traded this, which is John McLaughlin and Carlos Santana, Love, Devotion, Surrender. Yeah, I'm not a big Santana fan, I've mentioned before, but I do really like the Caravanserai album. I mentioned that I think probably last year, that that's an album that I've really got into. This is a similar time. I've been listening to a lot of John McLaughlin recently, and it just happened at the car boot sale where I was selling. The chap picked out one of my records that he was selling at the same time, and he had this in his box. I've just been reading an interview with John McLaughlin, so that got me interested again. But yeah, this includes a version of Coltrane's "A Love Supreme," which is interesting. But yeah, a nice album, something that I've got to give a few more spins, but very cool. And finally, a quick charity shop find: Quincy Jones, sounds and stuff like that. Late 70s Quincy, 1978 on A&M Records. Absolutely lovely stuff. A great Saturday night record. Includes a version of "Taking It to the Streets," Stevie's "Superwoman," "Wherever You and I Needed You." It is just, yeah, a lovely, lovely album. So cool. Cheers.